Yeah, it's so important to get the practical aspects of it at an early stage because all of that training is equally important for your life as a whole. And one of my very first jobs as an article clerk was I was the low boy on the totem pole in one of the very first big corporate crime cases in
Mhm.
Australia. It involved the collapse of a company called H. Palmer. And I had three roles in that team where we were defending two of the directors. I was in charge of photocopying, and I had to make 9 copies of everything
Yeah.
on quite an ancient photocopy machine. That old electrostatic paper, whatever it was, the chemical stuff that disappeared after 4 years. But I had to do all of that. The most terrifying of my roles, I mean, absolutely terrifying, was that at the morning tea adjournment, I had to go to the Queen's Counsel who was running the case, the great Lester Mears. I would say, Mr. Mears, what would you like for lunch? Because I had to go across the road at Taylor Square in Sydney to what was thought of as the best place to buy your sandwiches and coffee. Being Sydney in the late 60s, traditionally a Greek cafe, and Mr. Mears would always tell me what he wanted, and I'd get the other orders. I'd have to slip out and make sure it was ready and there in the council's room at 1 o'clock because we only had the hour. And so that was, and I hated to interrupt him because he was not happy to be interrupted, but nevertheless. And then when court adjourned at 4 or 4:15, I had to hang around for the transcript of evidence to be typed up.
Mhm.
It was at about 9 o'clock that evening that I would go to the court reporting branch, and I'd go back to the office and make 9 copies of a transcript of evidence for the day. And then I would drop them off to all the lawyers and barristers involved in the case, and I'd be back to Auburn that evening by about 11 or 11:30,
Wow.
and on the train at about 6:30 or 7 the next morning, sort of make sure everything's right. That was just the routine.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
certainly I'm working in house myself, so it's certainly not something I've yet been exposed to, but it sounds very, very full on. Not much sleep would have been happening in those days for you.
I know, and that was a big part of legal practice. It still is for some people. But modern technology, it can be criticised, but it has certainly taken a lot of the non-necessary torture out of the way we practice law.
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. I'm glad that I feel all young law students, law graduates have to do their fair share of photocopying, scanning, and that sort of thing. But I'm glad definitely it was on a more modern machine. Then maybe if we could just jump forward a little bit to perhaps when you finished your articles, what was sort of the process there? So you still would have your formal admission and formally become a solicitor and barrister of the Supreme Court in New South Wales, and then kind of where did your career go from there in those early days post admission?
Well, Peter, we were a non-fusion state.
Okay,
So I was admitted as a solicitor,
only.
attorney, and proctor of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, not to be confused with a barrister.
Mhm.
Yeah, the bewigged people who like to dress up in drag and other things. My barrister friends or what.